Uh, the history of man in a person, in one person. The history of man in individuals, right? This is something that I like to think about that I heard from Jay Krishnamurti, who says uh, like an individual is has the whole history of man like embedded in him, and I wanted to reiterate this idea, or like say some things about it just because I enjoy thinking about it so much. Um, like all of, let's say, like negative emotions, right? It's like all of the negative emotions that people have today, right? They've been having them for hundreds of years, you know, thousands of years. The same kinds of hates, the same kinds of jealousies, the same kinds of temptations, all the same kinds of circumstances or similar circumstances that um, elicit the same kinds of responses within ourselves, as we are in the world. Our bodies, they operate and function on a similar level through vast periods of time. And the emotions that we feel are communicated and understood by each other, through the experiences that we have. It's like the human beings striving for shelter, for food, for comfort, for love. Like all of these things are just not going away. They are always relevant to humanity. It is simply being a human that we go through all of these similar things that our ancestors have gone through for so long. And they are in us. They are a part of our body. They're a part of our blood. They're a part of like all of our makeup. Is part of that progeny. Is part of that history, where we now like we are in. Of course, as we go through time, and technology is changed and advanced, we are meeting unprecedented circumstances that we find ourselves in, and we can't look to history, or we can't necessarily say we can look back at something in history as a precedent for what's happening now, because that technology is something that is new. It's something that we have no ability to. It's an experiment that goes. I had a video recently, the experiment of liberty. It's like, as we're free to create these technologies, we're free to also go through unprecedented experiences. So we have no ability to have an idea about maybe how we ought to feel or what we ought to do, or etc., to deal with these new experiences, right? um, the whole history of humanity. I just think it's like an intimate idea. It's a human idea. It's an idea that makes it can allow oneself to feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves, and that's what I love about it. It's like we're all playing our individual part in the story of humanity. um, there was a Manly Palmer Hall lecture that came out recently, something like this, civilization as the individual, or civilization as us, something along those lines. I listened to it this morning. Maybe that's why I'm so I don't know, just in this realm of ideas. Uh, the I just love it. I just love it. We're all together. Even our ancestors who died, they're still with us in some capacity that we might not even be aware of, and to hold these kinds of things in remembrance, I think, has value, and it is something that is. It's something that's wonderful. It's something that's beautiful. It's something that, like I said, it's like all the people that would feel alone or like have loneliness hanging on them or over them. You know, it's like these kinds of ideas can alleviate the pressures of feeling that aloneness. It's like every human being was in some way at some point in the same kind of, not exactly the same, but a very similar uh, position or circumstance, something that allows us to have common ground. That's something that God God wants us to have a common ground. He wants us to be in some ways of similar likeness, right? And commonality. Um, it's like I know in a video recently I was talking about, it's like the Tower of Babel, like standardized version of like language, you know, for language control. It's like there's a middle ground between having the potential to meet people on a common ground and having the potential to have diversity enough in such a way where people can still learn and grow and experience newness. Um, you know, I guess it's like two sides of the same coin, if you will. Um, I don't know. I just love the idea. I haven't really been listening to a lot of J. Krishnamurti in the past couple of years because, in my opinion, some of the stuff he says is like too. I don't know. It's like borderline Luciferian. Sometimes it's like being a product of the world, as opposed to Christianity, where it's like being something that is actually not of the world. It's like he says we're of the world, or we're like human beings are the world, and it's like I don't know, I don't necessarily agree with that. So some of the sentiment that is in some of the things he says have been kind of lost on me, and I used to think that they were maybe a little more important than they were. But it's like I don't know. In my opinion, some of the things like that approach Luciferianism are just like prideful, like being prideful about humanity and like valuing humanity in a way that isn't actually necessarily healthy. I don't know. All this is an aside. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just really like the idea, the history of humanity and individuals. All like most of the aspects of our reality at some point has been thought about or invented or, you know, built for us in our time through their time, though they're no longer with us, but they are with us. There's just something beautiful about that I just love and wanted to share in this video. I guess that's it.